Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode. This is episode number 30 of Lawfolds. And it's hard to believe that this is episode number 30. We were just taking a brief break here, and we're going to get back into our action here. So here's kind of where we are. Let me just make sure that working with and everything is set up correctly. I will release our parking brake and we will turn on our seeder, lower our seeder, and away we go. So let's see. Episode number 29 was in the first day of fall, and we did go ahead and progress into the second day of fall. And as I had expected, as I had anticipated, we did get rain, as I thought we would, and just as I thought we would. The rain kept falling and it kept falling, and next thing you know, there were dogs and cats. It was raining so hard, but in any event, we have this wet crop condition here, and so I did test it. I replaced our harvester as I had hoped to, and I'll show you that. Hopefully I'll remember to show you that as we head over to that portion of the farm in just a moment after we finish seeding this. We're seeding this with oilseed radish. Not that we don't really have to. I just kind of wanted to do something for the episode because the only other thing that we really can do, I think, in this game day, at least until that wet crop icon goes away, is tend to the animals. And well, we've done that quite a bit in this series, and so there's not much more that I really know to do. So I kind of thought, okay, well, I tell you what we can do. We'll just do oilseed radish in this field. We weren't going to plant this in a winter crop for this winter, and we would do this, and then that way we'll have something to do for the episode, that is. And then when we maybe come back together, I'll tend to the animals off camera just so that we keep their productivity up. And then maybe when we come back together for the next episode, episode number 31, we might be in the last day of fall, unless I can think of something else that perhaps we need to do in the series. But I don't think that there really is, because I've really tried not to be too repetitive, as I've talked about before. But anyway, you will notice our money is a little bit different than what it was the last episode. We were around 400 and something thousand, so we did sell our combine, and we sold our header, and we also sold the small header trailer, and purchased we purchased the next size up Massey. And I know I was talking about, I was sort of speculating that maybe I would get the larger case. I think I might have even said in episode number 29 that I was looking at possibly the 45-foot header, that I realized that it was large, but some of these fields are large enough where it would be an advantage to the channel. It would be sort of an advantage to me to be able to maybe complete more of like the harvesting task within that 30 to 35, 40 minute time frame that we like to keep the videos at. But after thinking about it a little bit more closely, I decided against it, just because I thought that the 45-foot header would just be too big, and it would just be maybe a little bit unrealistic for a farm this size. Not that we have to do everything ultra realism, but again, we sort of got a story going. We sort of got a general idea of how a farm like this might operate, and I would just like to maybe try to stick to that as best as possible. So we got the upgraded Massey. I think the capacity is around 10,000, 11,000 grain capacity. And then we got the 35-foot Massey header that goes with that combine. and then we also got the large Quasar 16 corn header. Now a corn header might be just a little bit on the large size. That corn header is kind of matched up, I think, with the case, but the pipe and everything works with it on the Massey. I think everything will work fine when we use it, and it will just get those. Well, I think the only thing that we got to use the corn header for this year is just the sunflowers. So I think by the time we get that done, we've only got sunflowers and soybeans, I believe, left to do, and that is it. So we're still just down to the 2 fields remaining, and of course we can't harvest anything. But I was saying just a few minutes ago that when I was bringing driving the harvester back from the store, did that off camera just because I sort of thought that there wasn't much to see here, kind of thing. But I did drive it back from the store with the corn header on it, and I did just sort of test. I turned it on. I opened, unfolded the header, unfolded the harvester, and once everything got unfolded, and I hit the B key to turn the combine on, I got a message on the screen that said I wasn't even in the field. I was probably a good 20 feet away from the crop itself, but basically it flashed a message on the screen saying basically crops were too wet to harvest, or something to that effect. And so that's kind of interesting. But that's what we want, right? I mean, we want added realism. You know, in the real world, we wouldn't be out harvesting. And you know, the default game only prevents you from harvesting when it's actually raining. As soon as the rain has stopped, you can go, you know, 60 seconds later, 2 minutes later, whatever, you can go and harvest the crop. So this is causing, you know, cause and effect here. So this is, you know, forcing us to do other things, or, you know, sacrifice the game and fast forward until it goes away. So we will just see how it goes and just go from there. It is, I will do this, that, you know, once I get the animals tended to, if there's nothing else that we really need to do this game day, I think I probably need to go and make some room at the wool with the sheep. Probably move some wool pallets around, not sell anything yet, but move the wool pallets around. If I get that done, if I get the animals tended to so they stay 100%, and I will sort of bump the time up a little bit, and if the soil conditions dry up and that little icon goes away and there's still enough, you know, obviously there's still enough daylight left in this game day, then I will go ahead and bring us back in this game day. Otherwise, if there's not, just because I realize that folks farm, obviously, you know, early in the morning, late at night, whatever. There's just, it's hard. I know it's hard for you guys to see that being, you know, sort of portrayed on the videos when it's dark, and so that's one of the reasons why it's like 10 something in the morning here, is because when I fast forwarded into this game day, before it was really light enough to really do anything, where I thought that, you know, you guys would be able to see, it was well after 8 o'clock. So I guess I've been sort of messing about with getting the combine sold and getting it back here, and then also I went ahead and we plowed. I had Courseplay plow that field over there because I recorded a Courseplay tutorial on how to plow, how to set up Courseplay to plow. Getting some of the basics done first with my Courseplay tutorial series, just simply because I know that you know, there's so many Courseplay tutorials already out there, but you know, Eustace Pharmer twisted my arm and said, "Hey Jerry, I think you should do this in your no-nonsense style," and so that's what I've been doing, and I've actually been having quite a lot of fun recording those episodes. And of course, we'll go ahead and get rid of that because we don't need that anymore. And I will just let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's go around this other direction here. Alright, I will admit that I'm not as good at seeding or plowing or such when I can't use the GPS crutch. I must say that, you know, my first, the first few weeks of Farm Sim 17, when we didn't have the GPS mod, that was quite interesting for me, because I will admit that, you know, I used GPS in Farm Sim 15 so much. And I even joked on some of the forums like PCSG. I said, you know, I'm going to have to learn how to drive a tractor in a straight line, because when you use some of these aids like GPS, and of course, you know, GPS functionality exists in real life in some of these modern pieces of farm machinery, especially if they purchase those add-ons, and it's actually quite cool the way it works. Just as any GPS technology is cool the way that it works. And so I forgot to do this row here, but I think I can eyeball it, and we don't need, of course, or we don't need GPS for that. But anyway, you know, you sort of get a crutch, and when you don't have access to something, then it kind of shows, and it shows pretty quick. I think probably trying to watch me drive this tractor and seeder in a straight line with my kind of wobbly steering wheel is probably quite comical. I would probably be laughing if I were in your shoes, but you know, it's what we get used to. And of course, I got to take my hat off to guys like Mike Reefy 1952, who really truly enjoys, and he does such a wonderful job at those series where he uses the old classic farm machinery. And of course, you know, Mike doesn't do much GPS stuff with those, because obviously those tractors didn't have GPS in them. But I will say that I'm pretty much a victim of technology. We'll go back around and get some of these spots that got missed. But yeah, I'm pretty much a victim of technology. Of course, I work in the technology industry, so it sort of, you know, it benefits me, even though I don't support things like GPS technology at work. You know, it benefits me to sort of stay in tune with some of this stuff, because in a way some of this stuff is kind of related. I mean, it's not, but it is, and I don't really know how to explain it other than, you know, that kind of when you get in tune with something, when you sort of know about different things, there is a similarity. There is a sort of a I guess a likeness or something that it just sort of starts to click. It's kind of like with me, as we go through all these tree limbs, with, for instance, computers as an example. You know, I have supported pretty much every version of Microsoft Windows that comes out, because obviously that's what is big in the corporate environment, is the Windows OS. We don't have a lot of Macs in the corporate industry. There are some groups, like some of the folks that do things like graphic design or video editing and such. They will have like Macs, but the majority of the end users within the organizations that I support, that my group is responsible for, are Windows PC. And so let me just grab this one little piece here. and we'll call this good. Um, but I often thought that, trying to troubleshoot or trying to support Mac users or Linux users, or even I piddle around with the Raspberry Pis here at home. I've got several Raspberry Pis. I've got one that is a ADS-B aircraft tracker, so I've got an antenna outside, and the aircraft transmits on a specific frequency. They're tracking information, and so this antenna that I have outside feeds into a Raspberry Pi receiver, and the Raspberry Pi receiver uploads statistical data to FlightAware and to flight tracker websites. And so, there's hundreds of these things, thousands of these things all around the world. And oops, let's set our parking brake. There's hundreds and thousands of these different receiving stations all over the world. Well, anyway, long story short is, I once thought, well, I don't really know anything about Raspberry Pi, but because I know about PCs and servers and other, networking type hardware, it's all the same. I mean, once you kind of get the gist of something, it all kind of correlates to sort of the same. So anyway, let me just show you our brand new Massey Ferguson combine. So we've got the 9380, and we've got the 35 foot. I believe that's 35 foot. Let me look that up in the garage and see. I think it's 35 foot header. Yep, 35 foot power flow header. And then we got the Quasar 16 um, corn header. So that'll do our corn and our, what else? Sunflowers. Sunflowers. So let's, I tell you what, I'm gonna, I'm gonna short you guys, only simply because it is kind of getting late. It is kind of late on Wednesday evening. This is the first of March that I'm recording this episode, and so I'm going to go ahead and short this thing here. I realize it's only been about 18 minutes, but I did want to just bring us together on this game day, just to sort of document the rain, document the wet crop conditions, let you know how the seasons mod reacts to that. So in other words, we can't do any harvesting. I will just teleport down to our Sammy just to kind of take a look at this. It's it still cranks up, still fires up. It still says maintenance is required there in the HUD, but everything works. My track IR is a bit messed up, and I need to reset it. Parking brake off. Um, I mean, it still functions the same as it did before. So I don't really know. I mean, I was under the impression that it would just kind of stop working, and that was one of the reasons why I kept it in the maintenance shed here, thinking that okay, eventually it's going to, and this is really the second game. This is the start of the second game day that it has said need maintenance, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to leave it here because it's going to probably force me to do maintenance on it, and um, obviously if it's parked here, then obviously if it won't crank up, then all I need to do is come over here, and I can do right here, left alt R, maintain Sammy Fortis for $190. I will wait just a little bit still before doing maintenance on it, and see if it will just actually stop working. That was what I was led to believe that it would happen, and I wanted to test it for you guys so that you could see it actually do just that. But for whatever reason, it has yet to just stop working. Okay, unlike my voice sometimes. So Thank you all so much for watching. Again, my apologies. I realize this is only a 20-minute or so episode, but I have a few episodes ago I did run a 40-minute or 45-minute episode for you, so it all sort of washes out at the end. But thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll make a determination based on after I tend to the animals, and then I'll fast forward a little bit of time and see if we have enough daylight to harvest where I think everything will look good on camera, and then we will harvest at least one of the two fields, and then we'll have the last day of fall. And if worst case scenario, if things don't dry out, according to the weather forecast, we're done with rain for now. So this should dry out for the final game day, and we will just have to harvest two fields on that game day right before wintertime. So wintertime is coming. We've got snow in the forecast in midwinter, looks like, and then it'll be all about getting things ready for spring and taking care of the animals each of the winter game days, and kind of seeing how that looks here on the farm with snow, hopefully, and we will just go from there. So thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And if you have any questions, leave your comments or leave your questions in the comments, and I will make sure that I get to those for you. Thanks again for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.